My, it's a beautiful world. I like swimming in the sea. I like to go out beyond the white breakers, where a man with a little bit of lapsang souchon. I like making my, it's a beautiful world. I like driving in my car. I roll the top down sometimes. I travel quite far. Drive to the ocean, stare up at the stars. I like driving in my car. All around is anger, automatic guns. There's death in large numbers, no respect for women or our little ones. Tried talking to Jesus, he just put me on hold. So I've been swamped by calls this week. He could not shake his cold. Still this emptiness persists. Perhaps this is as good as it gets. You've given up the drink and those nasty cigarettes. Now leave the party early, at least with no regrets. I watch the sun as it comes up, I watch it as it sets. Yeah, this is as good as it gets. My, it's a beautiful world. I like sleeping with Marie. She is one sexy girl, full of mystery. She says she doesn't love me, but she likes my company. For now, that's good enough for me. So my, it's a beautiful world. I like swimming in the sea. I like to go out beyond the white breakers, where a man can still be free, or a woman if you are one. I like swimming in the sea. Yeah.
Colin, thanks for coming to the print shop. This is for you. This is a 1922 silver dollar. It's a peace offering. It's called a peace dollar.
All right.
And they're very. The reason that I'm giving you this is your music, for me personally, is very very spiritual and represents change in my life. About 2 years ago, I cleaned myself up. I know you've been through that as well. So this is not just another artist coming through the print shop. This really means a lot to me. So that's why I wanted you to have that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I can get to sleep. Think about the implication. Diving in too deep. Possibly the complication. Especially at night, worry over situations. I know we'll be all right. Perhaps it's just imagination. Day after day reappears. Night after night, my heartbeat shows the fear. Disappear and fade away. Between the sheets only brings exasperation. It's time to walk the streets, smell the desperation. At least there's pretty lights. And though there's little variation, it nullifies the night from overkill. Day after day reappears. Night after night, my heartbeat shows the fear. Ghosts appear and fade away. Come back another day. Situations that I know will be alright. It's just overkill. Day after day, it reappears. Night after night, my heartbeat shows the fear. Ghosts appear and fade away. Ghosts appear and fade away.
You grew up in Scotland and moved to Australia at age 14. One of the things that I learned about you is that your parents had a music store, and I was intrigued about that. Can you tell me a little bit about growing up around a music store, and is that where you got inspired to play music?
Well, it was a combination of things. My mother and father were musical anyway. You know, my father was on the stage when he was a teenager, so he was a great singer and a great dancer. And my mother was musical as well. But and then the war came, so he went off to fight in the Air Force for the Royal Air Force in the Second World War. And then when he came back from that, he didn't continue being on the stage, but he became a piano tuner, and they put this little mom and pop store together in a small town on the southwest coast of Scotland. So from the age of 5 until I was 14, I was in a music shop with them, and it was just a small store, but it was the only music shop in the town. And they had pianos because he was a piano tuner. They had pianos and they had guitars and drums, but the records were the thing, you know. And of course, as you know yourself, between the years of 1958 and 1967 was when we had the shop. And there was the most astonishing array of music that got made and produced then. So it was, and even, you know, I didn't really realize it at the time because, you know, you're just growing up and you think, okay, this is my life, you know. But it's really since then that all that music that I heard, you know, it becomes more impactful as you get older, you know, because you think about it a little more. You know, you know, on a Monday you would get, you know, You Really Got Me by the Kinks would come in, or I Feel Fine, singles, you know, so you'd play the singles, and my father would play the singles to me. So that was another thing that was really cool about the shop too. When the shop was closed, my father would call me, come in. He'd call me into the shop, and he would sit down and he would just play singles on the turntable, and so we would listen to music together, and that's where I first heard the Beatles actually. And you know, he said, have a listen to these guys. He said, I think they'll do quite well.
Yeah, I think he was right.
I grew up in Scotland and until I was 14. And then one day my father came home and said, right, we're off to Australia. I said, is that a long way, Daddy? He said, oh yes. It's about as far as you can go before you have to start coming back again. So off we went in May 1967. And when we were walking across the gangplank to get on the ship, this song, which was, I think, one of the greatest pop songs ever written by one of the greatest writers, the Kinks. Ray Davies is the writer, of course, and one of the greatest guitar lines. So I put this on a covers record I did a few months ago, and but it had special meaning for me just because that was our send-off, going from the old world to the new. Dirty old river, must you keep rolling into the night? People so busy, make me feel dizzy. Taxi light shines so bright, but I don't need no friends as long as I gaze on Waterloo sunset. I am in paradise. Every day I look at the world from my window. Chilly's the evening time. Waterloo sunset's fine. Terry meets Julie, Waterloo Station, every Friday night. But I am so lazy, don't want to wander, I stay at home at night. But I don't feel afraid as long as I gaze on Waterloo sunset. I am in paradise. Every day I look at the world from my window. sunset's fine. Millions of people swarming like flies round Waterloo Underground. But Terry and Julie cross over the river where they feel safe and sound. And they don't need no friends as long as they gaze on Waterloo sunset. They are in paradise. Waterloo sunset's fine. Waterloo sunset's fine. Waterloo sunset's fine. Waterloo sunset's fine.
You're in Australia. You start Men at Work, 1979, 1980.
Yeah, 79.
79.
Yeah.
And you guys had a residency, is that correct? You played for a couple of years at the
Yeah,
Church?
well, it was. I mean, the band was. It was a long time in the making. You know what it's like usually for people is that, I spent 10 or 15 years trying to put something together that I thought was going to work, that felt right. So I was on my own for a long time and tried different things, different endeavors, as it were. I mean, I traveled, went to Sydney, and which is another city in Australia, but I went up there early on and then came back and so I had a band and it wasn't doing very well. So I just thought, well, I'll go back to school. So I went to university for a few years, and that was a good thing to do because it gave me time to write tunes and to try and get better at that, and to actually try and plot and scheme a little bit and try and figure out a plan of attack, with how, because I didn't really understand how to, like a lot of people don't, how to get, how to get into music, how to get started. And so just as I finished university, I got this job in a musical called Ned Kelly. But just before that, I met Ron Strikert, who was the other guitar player in Men at Work, and he opened a creative door for me because he was a very inspirational guitar player, 12-string guitar player, 6-string guitar player, and he wrote beautiful he had really interesting kind of soundscape ideas, very kind of meandering, acoustic, very British influence in how he played, and that was really great for me. He opened a door for me, and I wanted to work with him, so I said to him, when I come back from this musical, we'll work together. And he said, yeah, okay, that'd be good. So I came back after a few months of doing that musical, and we started having a residency, just the two of us, in a few places around Melbourne. And we developed a bit of an audience, but we played covers, but we also played this original music, including songs like Down Under we'd written then before Men at Work existed. So we started to get a little bit of a following of people who were coming to hear our original music. And then Jerry, the drummer, who I'd met at university, he came and joined us, so we were three-piece for a minute. And then I'd known Greg for years and years before that. I asked him to join the band, and so then we were four. So over the period of about 2 or 3 months, we became the band that made the records, and then Ron was playing bass, so he switched back to playing guitar, and Jerry suggested we get John Reese. So probably took about 2 or 3 months for the band to be 5, and then I knew that I had this friend who was named Russell that I went to university with. He became the manager, so we were really kind of 6 people, and that was our attacking force, if you like, drink good coffee every morning. Comes from a place that's far away. And when I'm done, I feel like talking. Without you here, there is less to say. I don't want you thinking I'm unhappy. What is closer to the truth? And if I live till I was 102, I just don't think I'll ever get over you. No longer moved to drink strong whiskey. And I shook the hand of time, and I knew that if I lived till I could no longer climb my stairs, just don't think I'll ever get over you. Your face, it dances and it haunts me. Laughter is still ringing in my ears. I still find pieces of your presence here. Even after all these years. But I don't want you thinking that I don't get asked to dinner, 'cause I'm here to say that I sometimes do. Even though I may soon feel the touch of love, I just don't think I'll ever get over you. Yeah, if I lived till I was 102, I just don't think I'll ever get over you. CBS Records, which became Sony. They were really the only record company that were interested in us. And they signed us to a horrendous deal, you know. It was almost a criminal deal when you think about it. It was just a terrible, terrible deal. But
Were you excited about it at the time?
Oh, of course, but in retrospect, it was really a pretty cynical record deal for them to give us.
You hear so much about that.
Yeah, so it's water under the bridge, but at the same time, it was bad. They should have known better. Well, it was okay for them, but we wanted to make a record, and that's the way it usually is. The power structure is slanted that way, but we weren't stupid people. But when I think about that, I think we really should have got better advice for that. But anyway, what happened was we made a single. We made "Who Can It Be Now?" Went to #2 in Australia, and then they thought, oh, that's okay. So they let us make an album. The album took about 10 days to record, but we had a coincidentally, there was an American record producer down in Australia at the time. He was working on something else, and he came to see the band live. And he said to the A&R guy, who was the guy who signed us, Peter Carpin, he said, I want to produce these guys. I know what to do with them. So he did. And it was great. It was a great combination because we had a lot of really, good songs, I think. But we'd been playing them live, and so they were too long, and there was too much arrangement in them. Mm-hmm. So he kind of stripped them back and kind of popified them, as it were, and made them, as an example, "Who Can It Be Now" used to be like 6.5 minutes long. And, because we're playing in bars, it didn't matter, because people are drinking and they go, it didn't matter at all. So halfway through the song, the saxophone line would come in, but so he said, well, that's not going to happen. He said, you got to move the saxophone up to the front of the song, because if a guy's in a radio station, he's programming these songs, he wants to hear that line straight away. So we thought, oh, brilliant, So he had a lot of arrangement, seemingly obvious things, but they weren't really obvious to us, but he knew what he was doing in the studio. So we had 10 days of pre-production before we went into the studio. So by the time we went into the studio, we pretty much knew what we were going to record and how we were going to record it. So it took 5 days to do the rhythm tracks and 5 days to record the overdubs, and he took it back to the States and mixed it in a couple of weeks, and that was it. So I came up with this idea for "Who Can It Be Now?" In the middle of the Australian bush, southern New South Wales. My girlfriend and I at the time had a bit of land. She and I and the frogs were listening to this song, and I just remember that night. It was nice. And for those of you who are interested, a lot of the songs, the Men at Work songs, were written with the E's tuned down to a D, which basically is a drop D tuning. Very common tuning for guitar players. And you got that nice, which is kind of tricky to do, very difficult to play that chord on the standard tuning. So useless information for most people, but anyway, I'll play it for you. This is kind of how it first sounded before it got popified and became a big hit. With the dum, dum, ba, ba, da, 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 da. So before that, it was like. Okay. Who can it be knocking at my door? Go away. Don't come round here no more. Can't you see that it's late at night? Very tired. I'm not feeling right. All I wish is to be alone. Stay away. Don't you invade my home. Best off if you hang outside. Don't come in. I'll only run and hide. Who can it be now? 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 Who can it be knocking at my door? Make no sound. Tiptoe across the floor. If he hears, he'll knock all day. I'll be trapped. Here I'll have to stay. I've done no harm, I keep to myself. There's nothing wrong with my state of mental health. I like it here with my childhood friend. Here they come. These feelings again, who can it be now? 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 Is it the man come to take me away? Why do they follow me? It's not the future that I can see. It's just my fantasy.
After Men at Work broke up,
we didn't really, it's a funny thing, we didn't really break up. We kind of, it just was one of those weird bands where, you know, it was, we had a manager, as I said, Russell, and a couple of the guys in the band didn't want to have Russell anymore as the manager. They didn't like him. And he was my guy, he was my friend, you know, so, you know, I thought that we should all be loyal to one another, you know, and so you know, I wasn't going to sack him, and I wasn't going to, you know, strip him of his title as manager and all those kinds of things. So the rhythm section, they ended up being sacked, you know, the drummer and the bass player, by four of us. Greg and Ron and I and Russell, we sacked Jerry and John, which in retrospect was you know, probably a mistake, you know, certainly in the way we did it, you know. I think there's a strong argument for having like some kind of psychoanalyst on tour with you, you know, bands, because the problems you have are not, they're all resolvable, you know, and they're not really that important, you know. They're just kind of usually men together who have a very, very limited ability to communicate. So that's really what happened. And then of course, so we were four people. We were three of us in the band, Greg and Ron and I. And then Ron, one day through the third album, you know, he just said one day, he said, oh, I think I'm going to go home. And I said, oh, yeah? And he said, yeah. And I said, are you going to come back? And he goes, nah. And he just went home.
He never came back. Just walked out the door.
He walked out the door and he never came back, yeah. And then, so that was just, that left the two of us, me and Greg. And so the third record came out, and that didn't do much, you know. And then so Greg said, oh, I think I'm just going to stay home, you know, and he was sick of it as well. So there was really no band left to leave, you know. So I was by default on my own from that point on. I know you've seen me standing on the edges of your town. I can make you feel good if you're sad or feeling down. I am everywhere you care to look, and if you need me, I'm around. I could take you on a Greyhound trip, or fly a fancy plane, sit up on a mountain top, or listen to the rain. And I don't fool myself, but if you want me, I can stay or I can go. I can't answer or explain how I got here or became a man without a name. I could buy the latest Cadillac for people I don't know, but it's not the same as I remember long ago. And I'm standing in the wings of understanding. I'm just waiting for you to show. And I can't answer or explain how I got here or became a man without a name. I'm dancing with my silhouette, shadows from my past. My light was always shining bright, but I knew it couldn't last. And I'm stuck between the lines and the spaces, and time is standing still. Still can't answer or explain how I got here or became a man without a name. A man without a name. A man without a name.
I have a question about one more song that's near and dear to my heart, and that's Waiting for My Real Life to Begin. Can you tell me a little story about where that song came from?
Well, I have a friend called Tom Mooney, who a drummer, and we were working together on a few little ideas. He would come to my house, and we were working on a few things, and he came over one morning with 13 donuts. And I said, why have you got 13 donuts? And he said, well, I went to Dunkin' Donuts and, I wanted 8 donuts. And he said, the guy said, well, we got a special on a dozen. And you go, I don't want a dozen, I just want 8. He goes, it's the same price. He goes, you're crazy, you get 12 donuts for the price of 8. He said, no, I just want 8. He goes, no, take the 12, Same price as 8, you're crazy. He said, okay. He said, okay, well, today, when you get 12 donuts, you get an extra one, so you get 13. So there was a special in the 12 donut. So he ended up with 13 donuts. And so he came around and he had these 13 donuts. And he sat them down on the table and I said, oh yeah. And I said, so how you doing anyway, Tom? He said, man, I'm just waiting for my real life to begin. And I thought, that's a good title. Immediately I thought it was a good title. And he sat there and had a coffee and had a donut, and I just wrote out the song.
That's incredible. You're waiting
I didn't really change it. I didn't really change anything. I just kind of wrote out. It had been like he opened this door because it was a kind of a, speaking of what you were speaking before about drinking. I'd come to live in Los Angeles because I ran away from all my friends because I couldn't stop the drink. It was very difficult. So I eventually stopped anyway. But so a lot of it's got to do with that idea of mythologizing the past or the future and not basically taking up the space that you occupy, at any given moment, which is a difficult thing to do, a lot of the time. But that's kind of what the song was a little bit. I think about we all go, if we can just make that score, if I can make that big score, it's just round the corner, or give me another hand, let me go again, everything will be all right. Or else you go, for my case, I had that big moment, I want that again, I want to be number one, top of the world. And that's a dangerous thing too, because you think, well, that's what that was, and it may never happen. And it will not happen the same way, because nothing happens the same way twice, So there's a lot of different things in that song that's really up for for interpretation. You know, people get different things out of it, but I think it's something it just resonates with people for some reason.
Really does. It's so beautifully articulated, and songwriters like yourself, I feel like it's it's a superpower that you have to be able to really just go from, hey, that's a great song title from a donut story, right, to really kind of bring that in, internalize it, and come out with a beautiful song like that.
Any minute now, a ship is coming in. I'll keep checking the horizon. And I'll stand on the bow, feel the waves come crashing down, down, down on me. And you say, be still, my love. Open up your heart, let the light shine in. Don't you understand? I already have a plan. I'm waiting for my real life to begin. I woke today, suddenly nothing happened, but in my dreams I slew the dragon, and down this beaten path, up this cobbled lane, I'm walking in my old footsteps once again. And you say, just be here now, forget about the past, your mask is wearing thin. Just let me throw one more dice, I know that I can win. I'm waiting for my real life to begin. Cause any minute now, a ship is coming in. I'll keep checking the horizon, and I'll check my machine, for sure to be that cold. It's gonna happen soon, soon, or so very soon. The times are lean, and you say, be still, my love. Open up your heart, let the light shine in. Don't you understand? Oh, I already have a plan. I'm waiting for my real life to begin. clear day. I can see for a long way.
So Men at Work, you're getting Men at Work or traveling with Men at Work again and touring?
It's just the same band, the same band I have in LA.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just we're doing a Men at Work set.
And you're on the road with Rick Springfield and
Rick
John
Springfield,
Waite?
yeah, exactly, in August. But before that, I go out and play, do a tour with Ringo as well.
Oh wow!
So there's Ringo after this tour, after the solo tour, and then Men at Work with John and Rick, and then more Ringo, and then more solo stuff.
The all-star band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm on the road until November.
Down Under, do you ever get tired of playing that song, or is it one of the songs that you relish and you love it for what it is? I mean, it's stood the test of time.
Well, it's not really the thing is with songs is that it's not an external thing for me. A song, it just they live inside you, part of who you are. So I'm not really playing a song that's out there. I'm just playing a song that lives with me.
It's beautiful.
So the difficulty you're talking about is when you're separate from it. Then you think, oh, I'm sick of this song, because you're basically putting yourself first. And if you get out of your own way and just play the song, then the song can live every time you play it, because it's not separate from you, it just comes out. So it's not coming in, it's just there, so you just let it out and you just perform it for people who want to hear it. So that I've always had a very affectionate relationship with it. So with all the songs, but that one's a bit special. Obviously, it was the biggest song we had. It's just got something that connects with people from all different cultures. It's not even so much about the lyrical aspect. I think that what people pick up on is the fact that it's ultimately a song about celebration, and of who you are and who your friends are and where you're from, and just that, really.
Yeah. Well, Colin, I wanted to thank you again for coming to the print shop. This has been a very special day for me. I've been looking forward to it for a very long time. And
all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
You're awesome. Thank you. That's a wrap. Colin Hay, go see him. He's the man, no doubt.
Traveling in a Friday combi, a hippie trailhead full of zombies. I met a strange lady, she made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast. She said, do you come from a land down under, where women glow and men plunder? Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Buying bread from a man in Brussels. He was 6'4", full of muscle. I said, do you speak my language, brother? He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. He said, I come from a land down under, where village flow, men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Jaw and not a lot to say. I said to the man, are you trying to tempt me? Because I come from the land of plenty. He said, oh, you come from a land down under. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, women glow, men plunder. Could you hear the thunder? Oh yeah, you better run, you better take cover, 'cause we are living in the land of love. Oh, women glow and men plunder. Could you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover, 'cause we are living in land down under. Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover.